Hello Internet, James Allen from Out of 8, and today I'm playing Locomotive Simulation Train Sim World. This is basically a collection of the base game and 3 expansions that came out on Steam, and they've bundled it all together primarily for a console release, but they've given the same sort of discount on the PC as well. So there are 4 different areas you can do. There's Rapid Transit in Leipzig, Germany. There is Great Western Express in London and outside of there to the north. There's the Northeast Corridor through New York, and then there's the Heavy Haul, which is from Cumberland, Maryland, and then north into Pennsylvania. So I'll kind of show off 3 of these. I don't really care for the English trains, so I won't show those off. We'll start off with going to New York and trying some of the Amtrak trains there. Inside of the game as a whole, there are 8 different trains spread out across the 4 areas, and then also 25 scenarios. Each train has its own tutorial. However, once you're done with the tutorial, there's no other help available in the game. So, for example, if you switch between the different trains that are available and then you forget kind of how to start one up, the game will not help you. It won't give you any hints as to why this train is not starting or any other sort of help like that. So you kind of just have to figure it out. With all the scenarios, they are time limited, and a lot of them are long. The time that you see here is the actual time of the scenario. Even if you finish early, you still have to wait the predetermined amount of time for it to finish. So even if you finish the scenario 5 minutes early, you literally have to sit there at the last station for that final 5 minutes until it finishes. The shortest scenarios are 20 minutes, and the longest ones are upwards of 3 hours. And in addition, there's no time acceleration in the game either. So a 3-hour scenario actually takes 3 full hours. And again, it won't finish early if you finish early. So you have to sit there and wait. You can't customize your own scenarios. So if you only want to do a couple stations for 15 minutes, you can't do that. The game does offer these services, which is what I'm going to play, where you pick your train and then you pick your weather. So we'll do summer clear. And then you kind of pick a route to do. And there's some options, although in most of the options here you can see it's basically the entire route, which takes a while, especially with this layover here. And you can't customize it other than that. Say you only want to do a couple of the stops along the way. You can't do that. You just have to do whatever they chose. Now, there are a lot of options here, as you can see. But again, rather than having a bunch of options at, it's still the same route at different times of the day. I would rather you have the ability to customize it and choose which stops you want and what time of day you want, instead of just having to choose from this gigantic unorganized list. So I'm just going to choose one of these and show off a couple stops using this first train. Alright, so we're in the Amtrak train here. And again, no help. So you kind of have to figure out how to do it. With this one, to unlock the doors, you have to press the tab key. And which way is the platform? I actually don't know. I guess it's to the left. Alright. So, unlock left. There we go. So they'll load up, and you have to sit here and wait for them to do it. Now, most of the trains have the same basic commands. They have a reverser, which lets you go, forward and reverse. They have a throttle. This one has a forward and backward kind of throttle. And then it has a couple brakes. So I'm going to turn the automatic brake into release, and then the other brake is also in release. And then it has a bunch of, windshield wipers and all the different lights and stuff. And you just have to kind of get used to that sort of thing. Now, some of them have a little bit tricky stuff, like they'll have parking brakes that you'll have to figure out how to get rid of. You can also have the horn, which is always fun. Space bar. So you can control the game using the mouse. Uses the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. You can also use the keyboard shortcuts, and you can also use a gamepad, because like I said, this game is really more intended for consoles. is why they kind of bundled everything together. So wait for these guys to load, and there's part of my waiting. I have to wait until 12:02 before I can leave. So sit here for another 30 seconds before that happens. There's a bunch of other controls for the pantograph that you can see over here if you're on one of the electric ones. But really, most of the game is staying under the speed limit, making stops, or if you're transporting cargo, having to link up cars or switch tracks manually. So, but other than that, it's basically what you would get out of a train sim. Yeah, there we go. So now I can lock the door. So I will do that. All right. So I get to go. Yep. All right. So I got to go all the way to New York Penn, which is actually pretty good. So we will do that. So the A key, in addition to just doing it yourself. So I'm going to kind of throttle this puppy up. So this one just goes straight to Penn, which is interesting. So this one is kind of, in and around New York City. You get different camera views. So you got this one here where you can see your whole train, and another one that's kind of rotates around. Primarily, you play it in first-person view. You can actually get up and walk around the train, which is kind of cool. So the speed limit is 30. No, it's 40, I guess. And then you have all these little, HUD indicators. You can turn all these off if you want. They show you, what signals up ahead and stuff like that. So we'll stay under the speed limit here. And this is basically it. You're just kind of adjusting the throttle. Let me put it on idle for a sec. And just kind of paying attention to the signals, which are usually green because the scenarios are set up where you're not... let's put the brake on a little bit. Let's get us under 45. There we go. Oh, it's on minimum release. There we go. Oh, now you got too far. Okay, so now we hit the thing. A lot of the speed limits are kind of annoying because they'll go up to like 100 and then they'll go down to 45 and then back up and then back down. So you have to constantly, see, it's up at 100 now, but in another 700 yards it goes down to 80. So, really I'm going to have to keep it under 80. So, anyway. The game does have good graphics. That's probably the best part of it. And the areas that you do get are pretty detailed. Now, again, you're basically stuck along the same sort of line, the whole time because there isn't, you can't branch off of the train. As for the map is really disappointing. It only shows the rail lines with some generic backgrounds, so you don't know where any of the landmarks are. Like this is the bridge here, and then this is Penn Station, and Newark is over on that side, but you can't tell from that map. It's pretty disappointing there. Turn this down a little bit. So it would have been a lot more immersive if they would have put a little bit more detail into that. So, again, I can go up to 100, but then I'm going to have to slow down to 45 and a mile, so why? And then you get little points on the side there. I've actually tried a lot of the scenarios. I just don't have the patience to sit through 3 hours to get the points at the end. Hi. Hello. How's it going? Horn. So, I'm not going to do this the whole way. And you can get up and walk around. There's the door. Go back over here. The circuits and stuff. I should probably go back. There's the, the other, facing the other direction. Should probably slow down for that thing right here. So, put that on idle and I will turn the brakes on. Because we gotta slow down to 45, probably for a turn. Yeah. I'm getting there. There you go. Yeah, for this bridge. I guess turn my headlights on. I kept my bell on accidentally. So yeah, tight turn here, so you got to slow down a little bit. But I mean, that's basically it. Is you're just adjusting your speed and then making stops. And I can go back up to 70 once my entire train passes that marker. And again, you can turn these off if you want, like, you know, full. There we go. You know, immersion with just using the signals and stuff like that. Oh yeah, you can go to 70, but I gotta go back down to 60 again. But anyway, you get the idea. So that's the first train, so we're gonna go back to the main menu. And I'll switch to the next area, which is actually gonna be this one in Leipzig. Alright, so let's go change to that. Rapid transit. Services, and you only get the one. Oh, let's do fall rain. Autumn drizzle. Alright, so this one again, you have all these different ones, but it's the almost the entire route every single time. Which is kind of, you know, whatever. So we'll start down here. And so you just, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all the same route with all the stops usually. So not too much, you know, in the way of variety there. All right. So we will unlock the doors. The platform's on the right, so I will open the right. There we go. These guys, German efficiency, the passengers get on a lot faster than in America, so it's probably on purpose. All right, so in this one, same sort of deal. The reverser's here, so I can turn that on. And this one just has a throttle brake combo, so it's actually easier to drive. It also has this parking brake that I'm going to have to turn off, so I will do that. And then I'll have to close the doors in a sec. In a minute. So again, this is the whole gotta wait for stuff to happen before you can go. Now, while I'm waiting, I wonder where my windshield wiper is. Because I'm gonna need that. Cabin lights, sander, marker lights, horn, passenger stuff. Okay, which German thing is it? Buzzers, instrument lights, fans. I don't know. I'm going to be having some rain, I guess. Yeah, this is the problem with leaping back and forth. Oh, locked doors, okay. Alright, so now we can probably get going. Yep. No, no, I forgot something. Sometimes. Sometimes it just kind of bugs out. So, handbrake release. It isn't forward. The brake is off. This is what I'm talking about. Can I go? No. No, I cannot. There's your horn. I know how to do that. So, again, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it won't tell you why it's not moving, even though I have all these things. I mean, it could be like one of the circuit things is not on. Because another thing that it does is it doesn't have exactly the same setup every time. Like sometimes it'll keep things set up and sometimes it won't have the pantographs up. So it's very inconsistent about what it does for you when it starts up and when it doesn't start. Alright. There you go. Okay. Whatever. Still don't know where my windshield wipers are, but that's alright. So I turned the brake on and the brake off, and then apparently that did it. I don't know. Now, if I could only find where my windshield wipers were, then it'd be alright, but I don't know which thing it is. I could probably, well, let me see. What's windshield? Is it V? Yep, it is. Haha. I don't know how I remembered that. Alright, so in a mile we're going to have to go down. Well, that's at the station anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to have to start slowing down here in a minute. This one, the stops come very frequently, so you can't really get going very fast either. Anyway, so... kind of just have to... Yeah, it's going to come up before the other one anyway, so we're going to start braking. Another problem is with these symbols is they should put them side by side instead of overlapping on each other. It makes it kind of tough to tell what, you know, certain things are. There's a yellow because of the station. You know, sometimes it's hard to tell because the things just overlap. I think I'm on idle, aren't I? Yeah. Alright, oh, good. Crap. See, that's what I'm talking about. Brake, 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 brake. Max brake. Sorry, station people. And I kind of passed it. That's what I get for not paying attention. Trains take a long time to stop. I wonder if they'll give me credit for this. Nope, too far. Anyway, I already destroyed myself on that one. That's one of them. So let's just do the... we'll do one more. Alright, so we're going to switch to the heavy haul. And we'll do a service. And we'll do this guy. They also have some optional liveries. It basically just changes what the number is. So somebody has some... I don't think I would need to do that. Let's do spring cloudy. Alright, so this is Pennsylvania down to... let's just do that one, it's fine. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to do the whole thing anyway. Problem with this line is you have to go so slow because it's in the mountains. It just takes like forever to get from one side to the other. And again, I just lose... Either I lose patience with it where I don't feel like finishing it, or... I just don't have time, you know, to finish the whole thing, so you don't end up... It doesn't check it off and you don't get the experience points for it. Alright, so this is CSX. This is probably my favorite one out of all of them. So I'm going to take the automatic brake off and independent brake off and reverser into forward, and we will throttle up. So the A goes up. So keep when the speed starts to stop climbing, I throttle up to the next position. Hopefully that'll be enough to keep this thing going. Speed limit in here I think is 15. I really like this display up here that shows you how fast your miles per hour, like how many miles per hour you're going faster a minute. I think that's really handy. Alright, so we're going to go back down to, probably down to 2. Because I want to stay under 15. Actually, we'll go to idle. Until it dips down. That was actually pretty close. So the problem with the rail yard and stuff in here is that you gotta go so slow. You know. This is actually starting out in Cumberland. So. But again, pretty detailed you know, areas. Hopefully, I don't know. Let's see. Again, I don't know if they switched my track for me or not. So you have to like scroll up and look. Nah, I think it's alright, the blue. Keep switching back and forth. So, I mean, this is going to take... if you're going 15 miles an hour to go a mile and a half, it's going to take, like, a while. And I have a red thing up there anyway. So, oh, Cumberland, Maryland. Pretty long train. So, I mean, this is basically it. It's seemingly accurate. You know, all of the... I should probably get up. All of the, you know, trains are very detailed. You can actually get out and walk around, you know. If you climb down the ladder if you want. Or you can just stand there and look at stuff. All the trains are pretty detailed. You know, the physics seems to be pretty solid about how the train, you know, load travels and all that stuff. The problems are, actually, one, there's no time acceleration, so you can't skip the boring parts of the scenario when you're just cruising. Now, most of the routes have a ton of changes in the speed limit, so you really have to keep constantly adjusting your stuff anyway. But I would love to have time acceleration option if you don't want to sit in one place for 3 hours, which is kind of ridiculous. You know, it has you know, the 4 routes with 8 trains, 25 scenarios. The scenarios can last a super long amount of time, and you have to sit there at the end even if you finish early before the time you know, ticks down for however long that scenario was, which is pretty crazy. You don't have to do that, thankfully, for the services. But with the services, although there's a lot of options to choose from, they're almost all the entire route, and you can't choose which stops to stop at. So I would like to have more customization options there. You know, even though there are 4 routes in this doesn't have as much content as other train sims, even the train simulator by the same developer, because it hasn't been around as long. So it doesn't have all the custom content and custom DLC that you can download to really, you know, exponentially increase how much content you have in the game. The help is not great. Like you saw in the one scenario, it took me a while to figure out why my train was stuck. And sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's you or whether it's the game bugging as to why you didn't go. Like, I set the parking brake and put it back off again, and then I was able to move. So I don't know why that is. Like, is that something I did, or is that something the game did? I don't know. So, I mean, in that, it's a train sim, so you kind of know what you're getting. You know, if you're looking for an action-packed, you know, game, this is not the one you want to get. If you're looking for a faithful simulation, this is pretty good. But again, there's a lot of areas that they could improve with having shorter, smaller scenarios, allowing you to customize your own routes, adding in time acceleration. So because of the shortcomings there, you know, this isn't a game that I would fully recommend. And especially if I was a person that started out, you know, the Heavy Hull was the first base game, and then they added the 3 other DLCs to it. You know, if you bought all those separately, which probably a lot of people did, most of their core audience on PC, I would imagine, that's a lot of money for something that now is pretty heavily discounted on the PC in order to match the console price, where they basically bundled everything together. So that's a little annoying, I would say, if you're, you know, coming to it from that route. So again, you know, while it is a great simulation, there's a lot of shortcomings regarding the help, customization options, content compared to other sims, lack of time acceleration, stuff like that, that really hold the game back and keep it from appealing to a wider audience than, you know, the hardcore train sim crowd. That's all I have for today. Till next time, bye now.